time-traveling soul creates China's basketball GOAT. Please like, share and subscribe. Episode 81, Courage Has a Price. The time for the game continued to approach, and the live DJ began to introduce two pairs of players. The Thunder players were the first to appear, and the DJ's voice was a little perfunctory. When it was time for the Blazers players to play, not only did the DJ's sound grow a lot, but the entire arena was boiling. As Barkley said before, the Blazers' 5-game winning streak this season exceeded everyone's expectations, including Portland fans. This is the best start in the history of the team after a 30-year absence, and they finally see the real hope of the team's rise. When the owners of the last number 0, number 36, and number 12 jerseys appeared in the arena in turn, the atmosphere at the scene reached an unprecedented peak. I didn't expect the atmosphere at the Rose Arena to be quite good. It's a bit like the scene when we entered the finals for the first time last year. Westbrook looked in shock at the frenzied fans around him. Then today we're going to be a Heat team. Durant, who is not good at words, likes to disguise himself with a cold expression on the field, which is the inspiration he got through the movie Terminator. I have to say, Tom is really handsome, he almost caught up with me. Thinking of this, an evil smile appeared on Durant's face, and was instantly captured by reporters on the sidelines. So wretched. With a whistle, a battle has begun. Because of the closed stitch, Ibaka's once proud bounce has been greatly affected. He has lost to his opponents many times in the jump ball this season, and this time is no exception. Lillard took the ball to the front court, and Westbrook defended it. Boy, let me see what qualifications you have to wear the number 0 jersey. Although I don't know why the relationship between Westbrook and Lillard was so bad later, at least now, Westbrook looked at this cold-faced and mature young man in front of him, full of expectations. Obviously, Westbrook subconsciously regarded the young man in front of him wearing the same jersey number as one of his many fans. Lillard didn't answer and didn't fight with Westbrook. After taking 2 symbolic steps, he found that Wang Zhelin began to lift up, the corners of his mouth turned back slightly, and he took Westbrook to the vicinity of Wang Zhelin. Wang Zhelin blocked Westbrook in a high-level pick-and-roll, and Lillard took advantage of the situation. Perkins hurried to make up the defense, but suddenly found that the ball in Lillard's hand was gone. The ball had already been transferred and landed in the hands of Wang Zhelin, who was near the free-throw line. I saw the latter poking his toes slightly, raising his hand to score 2 points. Shoo. 80's mid-range shooting ability is as stable as a dog. When Wang Zhelin and Lillard gave high fives, they didn't notice that Ader's mouth on the other side opened slightly, but closed again, as if nothing had happened. But only the clenched fist silently hinted at the imbalance in his heart. Cool, Wang and Lillard's double pick-and-roll has become more and more tacit. If this continues, the Blazers will have a new set of killing moves. Kenny Smith appropriately expressed his views. Don't worry, the Thunder have KD, he has no solution. Buckley knew what his old partner meant, but he ignored it and still sat firmly on the Diaoyu tie. The Thunder's offense has been honed over the course of several seasons and appears to be very tacit. After a few rounds of ball rotation, Durant finally completed the task of ending. Glancing casually at Batum in front of him, Durant pulled it up after a few tentative steps. Although Batum desperately reached out to interfere with the distance of the bullet, Durant's shot point still had a head-to-head distance. This distance is enough to make his previous efforts completely in vain. Shoo. 2 points scored, a 2-2 tie. Batum has faced Durant more than once, but every matchup can make him feel deeply desperate. This B is so fake. Durant, who is at his peak, is out of position when he hits anyone. Except for his physical strength and his second brother, no one can stop him. When he finishes shooting, it has nothing to do with the defensive player. Look at his touch. Obviously, Durant feels very good today. In the first quarter, Durant was 4 of 5 near the free throw line, smashing the Blazers' defensive frontman Batum into a sieve. Westbrook also went into a frenzy. He beat Lillard many times and attacked the basket like a pack of dynamite. Under Wang Zhelin's desperate defense, although the hit rate was only 1 in 5, it also caused Wang Zhelin's foul. Only 1 minute into the second quarter, Westbrook used Ibaka's pick-and-roll to get inside and hit the basket directly. Wang Zhelin didn't do what he thought. He only wanted to block Westbrook's dunk. He could clearly feel that he was in great shape tonight. 7 rebounds in a single quarter is the best proof. He firmly believes that he can block it. However, Westbrook played very smart. He fell directly into Wang Zhelin's arms in the air, and the basketball in his hand was casually thrown into the air, and he fell on the ground. The referee blew his whistle. This is already his second foul, and the last one was also made by Westbrook. Rookie, you are brave, but bravery comes at a price. After getting up from the ground, Westbrook said something similar to experience to Wang Zhelin. This man has a lot of backbone. Westbrook still really likes this Wang Zhelin, who dared to stand up to Howard as soon as he debuted, and he hasn't seen such a rookie who dares to fight for a long time. Wang Zhelin chewed his braces hard, full of unwillingness in his heart. If he committed 2 fouls in such a short period of time, he would definitely be taken down by the coach. Sure enough, taking advantage of the dead ball, Coach Terry took down Wang Zhelin and replaced him with J.J. Hickson. Hickson patted Wang Zhelin's butt, but the latter drooped his head and returned to the bench without saying a word. Kid, what you have to do now is to watch the game carefully and see how Hickson defends. I will come to ask you after halftime, and I hope you can give me a satisfactory answer. Coach Terry stood beside Wang Zhelin and patted the latter on the shoulder. This time he did not explain too much, because he knew that some things needed to be understood by Wang Zhelin himself, and it was not appropriate for outsiders to say more. He also believed that with Wang Zhelin's talent, he should be able to understand the truth on his own. Why would the coach say such a thing? Wang Zhelin just nodded and didn't answer. He looked at everything on the field and began to think whether there was something wrong with his defense just now. Woohoo, it seems that our celestial teenager is in a little trouble. He has only got 3 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 fouls. Compared with his previous performance, this is a big drop. Seeing that Wang Zhelin was taken down, Barkley began to gloat. He hasn't forgotten his previous bet. Young people, sometimes being too positive is not a good thing, just don't know how long it will take you to understand that. Episode 82, Coach, I got it. After the game, Wang Zhelin, who could only sit the bench as his teammates worked hard for victory, became more and more anxious. He originally thought that no matter what, he would return to the court at the end of the second quarter. Unexpectedly, until the last minute before the end of the second quarter, Coach Terry had no intention to bring him back on the court. Because of Wang Zhelin's foul problem, Aldridge had to be pushed to his least favorite center position and let 206's Hickson play power forward. In the second quarter, the Trailblazers' offensive tactics were mainly fast breaks. Aldridge and Hickson on the inside were responsible for screening and cutting inside. Lillard on the outside made ball transfer and off-ball movement. Basically, who would play whoever has the opportunity. If there is no chance at all, the ball will be handled by any one of the double German combination. When Wang Zhelin is on the court, there will be appropriate low-post singles tactical arrangements, but he is not on the court now, and the Blazers' interior deterrence is not as good as before. When switching from offense to defense, in addition to consciously destroying the ball carrier's offensive rhythm, it is also necessary to organize and quickly retreat from defense and stand in a defensive position in advance. The Blazers' defensive player stance is a common 2-1-2 stance. After halftime, the Blazers scored 53 points with a fast-paced style of play, and the team's overall performance was fairly smooth. But even so, the Blazers are still 7 points behind the Thunder, because the opponent shot down 60 points. In terms of defense alone, the Thunder might only be ranked around the first-class level in the league, or even lower, but when it comes to offense, with Wang Zhuang in hand, Detonator can tell everyone without hesitation, it's not that we blow, we are not afraid of anyone when we fight hard. The Thunder's core tactics are quite simple and rude, and can be summed up in one sentence: Du Xiao swipes West Xiao, and West Xiao swipes Du Xiao. In the regular season, they still played some tactical cooperation, but in the playoffs, when it was time to fight the bayonet, Durant and Westbrook, an anti-aircraft gun and a bomber, would bombard each other's positions in turn. In the NBA, talent can really do whatever you want. At this point, Westbrook has scored a game-high 16 points, 4 assists and 3 rebounds. It seems that the seal of the manhole cover is about to expire. By the way, Durant also had 13 points and 7 rebounds. Everyone knows the truth of good steel needs to be used on the edge of the blade. Now, unless the Thunder team is behind in the beginning, Durant is used to exerting force in the third or fourth quarter most of the time, and he will give him the world in the early stage. Invincible second brother will do. While sitting on the bench, Coach Terry asked Wang Zhelin to focus on observation, and he also did Hickson's inside defense. What he saw was, when the opponent's players advanced for several rounds, since the outside position could not be defended, according to his understanding and testimony, the inside players would be the last barrier. Let him not understand. Why didn't Hickson do enough blocking, let the opponent's players play too easily, and even the final block seemed so perfunctory? You have this ability. What are you afraid of? Fuck him. Several times he stood up and invited Ng to play, but was held in position by Coach Terry. When asked why, the latter would only say something like this to him: take a good look and study hard. At first, he was very angry, so what else did he learn? Didn't he just avoid it in advance? This kind of defensive behavior that immediately avoids when he sees his opponent rushing up, forgive him, he can't do it in his life. But after being pressed by the coach on the bench one after another for him to observe carefully, Wang Zhelin began to learn to slowly force himself to calm down. He believed that the coach must have his own reasons for doing so. With more and more observation time, his discoveries gradually increased, and his eyes became brighter and brighter. It turns out that Hickson is not only not the kind of soft guy he thought, on the contrary, he is also tough, but unlike his own toughness, Hickson's toughness appears to be very intelligent. In other words, Hickson, who has been in the league for many years, understands the conversion between give and gain better than he does. Wait, be willing. Finally, halfway through the halftime break, a flash of inspiration suddenly appeared in Wang Zhelin's mind, and the word willing kept appearing in his mind. That's right, it's worth it. It's worth it if you have it. In the absence of zone defense, or because of the introduction of rules such as defending for 3 seconds, post-backing for 5 seconds, canceling head check, etc., zone defense is of little significance in the NBA. Therefore, defensive players are often passed after a pick and roll, which can easily lead to inside players being completely exposed to the firepower of the opponent's offensive players. Lengtauking like Wang Zhelin, most of the time, will rush up regardless, and stop the opponent's attack no matter what. For an old fritter like Hickson, once he finds that the opponent's perimeter player has rushed up, he will let him come up, and if there is still time, he will block the opponent's breakthrough route in advance, or get up in time before interference. Anyway, Hickson will never let himself and the opponent's perimeter players do a one-on-one confrontation in the air. Attackers are active, defenders are always passive. In the air confrontation, even if the opponent fails to score, it is easy to make a foul. In their opinion, the big deal is the next round, and there is a chance to get another one, and the rash foul is not worth it. This is the defensive strategy of these old fritters of Hickson: use offense instead of defense, grasp the big and let go of the small, and never give the opponent a chance to fully blossom. If the opponent really has the ability to rely on one person and one way to kill him also recognized. This kind of defensive skills, the coach and Hickson and others did not tell Wang Zhelin. But as a young man with strong blood, this kind of defense seems too cowardly to them, and they naturally dismiss it in their hearts. But even if he is as strong as Howard, it is impossible for him to do his defensive tasks well in every defensive round. He has to do a good job of defensive work on the premise of protecting himself. Because Howard is too important to a team's defensive system, and not to mention that this aerial confrontation is the most likely to cause players to be injured, it is really not worth advocating to bet a foul for just 1 or 2 points. The current Wang Zhelin is the same for the Blazers' defensive system. Wang Zhelin's defensive method is more suitable for the big scene of every inch of mountains and rivers and an inch of blood in the playoffs, rather than the current regular season. There are 48 minutes in a game, and there are 82 such regular games in the NBA. The harsh reality tells him that this skill is still necessary to learn. In the locker room of the Trailblazers, Wang Zhelin stood up again, with a gleam of wisdom in his eyes. Seeing this scene, Coach Terry finally showed a relieved smile on his face. "King, it seems that you have already gained something." "Yes, coach, I got it. Temporary withdrawal does not mean inaction, only long-term is king. You can play again in a while, but remember to control your fouls." Although he understands that Wang Zhelin probably already understands, but Coach Terry still feels it is necessary to give this young man some fire. Who makes young people feel uneasy? Wang Zhelin nodded, indicating his understanding. Episode 83, The Big List of Deductions. Westbrook it's halfway through the game. It seems that our Mr. King has not woken up yet after receiving 2 fouls. "Kenny, it seems that it's my turn to be the winner." This is the first time Barkley has called Wang Zhelin's nickname King in public, and the teasing and ridicule in it are almost on the screen. "It's still too early, Charles. Wang is in good shape today, he's got 7 rebounds. Kenneth Mize shook his head. "Cut, it's only 7. When he gets 33, he will talk to me about rebounding." Barkley tugged his head to the side, and his 33 rebounds were one of the representative battles of his career. In a regular season in the 96-97 season, the 33-year-old Barkley returned to Phoenix to play after joining the Mosaic team. In that game, Barkley, who is 198 centimeters tall, grabbed 33 rebounds abruptly on a bunch of 7-foot-long people. He is the 10 players with 30-plus rebounds in a single game in the 28 years since the beginning of modern basketball in NBA 84. You must know that the Mosaic team only got 58 rebounds in that game, and Barkley alone accounted for 2/3. Since 1984, there have been 15 feats of a player grabbing 30-plus rebounds in a single game. Among them, Big Bug Rodman won 5 times, Kevin Willis got 2 times, and Barkley and others shared it evenly. The remaining 8 times. This is also the reason why Barkley successfully made it to the list when some good people selected the strongest 198 in NBA history online, and the number of votes was not low. Kenneth Mize was speechless. Don't look at Barkley, who usually likes to spray people, but other than the lack of an NBA championship ring, other places are really impeccable. Although Kenneth Mize himself has a championship ring, he still has no confidence to comment on Barkley's playing career. He is not O'Neal's guy. He has both personal and team honors. His championship ring was not obtained as a core player. Ha ha ha. Seeing that his old partner had nothing to say, Barkley showed a triumphant smile, but his face soon turned black. Although he is very dark, it turned out that the list of players played by both sides was played on the big screen in the third quarter. Thunder lineup: Perkins, Ibaka, Durant, Sefolosha, Westbrook. Blazers lineup: Wang Zhelin, LaMarcus Aldridge, Batum, Matthews, Lillard. When I heard that Wang Zhelin was back on the playing list and fought side by side with others, the whole scene began to cheer. Unknowingly, Wang Zhelin, who had a blast on the court and fired guns everywhere, gradually became the most beautiful boy in the Rose Garden arena. I knew it wasn't that simple, and Wang won't let everyone down. That's right, it's all the fault of that rookie coach, otherwise how could we fall behind? Ha 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 ha. In the live broadcast room, Barkley became speechless, this time laughing into Kenneth Mize. Don't be too happy, what can he do when he comes back? It's not just a rookie who knows how to send fouls. Barkley couldn't help but mutter. With a whistle, the third quarter began, and the Trailblazers had the ball. After the opening, Wang Zhelin's cover arrived as scheduled, and Lillard successfully passed Westbrook easily and went around the left 45-degree angle to hit a three-pointer. 56:60. The score is getting faster and faster. Wang Zhelin's agile awareness and natural tonnage make him one of the best screeners on the team. After he went off the court, Hickson's screen was far less good than him, and Coach Terry, who was watching the game, and Lillard, one of the biggest beneficiaries of pick-and-roll tactics, felt the most. The feeling of the past is back, and it is really nostalgic. As for Aldridge, the team leader, I don't know why, Lillard always felt that the former was very uncomfortable with him, but he clearly remembered that he had not offended the other party. It's ridiculous. Through this period of time getting along, Wang Zhelin and Lillard found that Aldridge, the boss, was a boring gourd when he was on the court. This is very similar to Durant, the boss of the Thunder. In the eyes of outsiders who do not know the inside story, Westbrook must be more like the boss of a team than Durant. Said that when Chow arrived, the Thunder team took the lead in attacking, it was the boss Westbrook. Westbrook's ability to rush to the frame has resounded throughout the league, making the centers of all teams fearful, and no one wants to be the next background board. After Dewey's second pick and roll, Durant slipped to the other corner, and the terrifying shooting deterrent attracted a little attention from Batum and Lillard, giving Westbrook a chance to reach the inside again. Sweetie, I miss you. As long as Westbrook now thinks of Wang Zhelin's aggrieved expression after he was cheated by himself again, his heart bursts with joy. Come on, little turtle, come in if you have a seed. Westbrook didn't expect Wang Zhelin to learn to behave this time, knowing that he was blocked in the middle of his offensive path ahead of time. Originally, he was not prepared for Bird King Zhelin, but the little turtle in the latter's mouth made him instantly angry. It's not that Westbrook doesn't know that he has a nickname called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He also watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3D anime at the end of September. Don't say it, it's really similar, but the problem is that both opponents and fans call him the tortoise, at least in front of him, but now someone dares to call him the little turtle, which he can't bear. Durant, who had already run out of the vacancy on the other side, was directly ignored, and Westbrook on the top took exaggerated steps, rushing forward like he wanted to hold a pack of explosives. It's like this again. Seeing this familiar scene, Durant couldn't help but put his hand on his forehead. Fortunately, your brother, I'm used to it. Durant doesn't think an Asian center can stand up to his second brother, even though the guy's physicality is blown out to be no worse than O'Neal. At this time, the Thunder made a tactical mistake. Their coaching staff used to ask the inside players to pull out as much as possible in the offensive rounds, giving the outside players enough space for impact. So their center Perkins was pulled to the outside. This guy was no threat on the outside, so as soon as Aldridge saw Westbrook receiving the ball, he immediately went inside to support Gong Guiyang. As a result, the Thunder lost a point, while leaving the Blazers with two people to deal with Westbrook. How to say Ade is also the second place in the list, and his body is very strong, and he successfully slowed Westbrook down. This time, Wang Zhelin will no longer be polite to Westbrook. With the help of the boss's top man, Wang Zhelin, who has adjusted his pace, gives Westbrook a solid volleyball hat, which slaps Westbrook. And everything is far from over. Batum grabbed the ball in the chaos and passed it directly to the fastest Lillard. Lillard, like a supersonic speeding up for takeoff on the runway, drove straight to the front court, only to catch up with Westbrook's rumbling jet along the way. Rushed to the 3-second zone, Lillard ignored Westbrook beside him and jumped directly. Is Lillard taking off? Oh, he is not. It turned out that what really took off was not supersonic, but a more overbearing aerospace carrier. Wang Zhelin jumped high, took the basketball that Lillard threw to the backboard and bounced back in the air with both hands, and pulled his arms back naturally, making the whole person stretch into a bow. Boom. Oriental missile, successfully launched. After Wang Zhelin hit Westbrook in the air, his movements did not change in any way, and he smashed the ball into the frame with both hands. Instead, Westbrook fell to the floor in a nearly lying position. Fake oil. Gift crab. Fuck. Everyone around the scene and the fans watching the game live couldn't help expressing their shock by expressing their own greetings, including Westbrook's teammates. Everyone says how explosive Westbrook's physicality is, but that's only compared to perimeter players. When Wang Zhelin, a giant with a height of 2.16 meters and a weight of nearly 300 jeans, rushed over, the physique that the Turtle fans were proud of instantly became a joke. Isn't this much more burning than the 100,000-year-old wind baboon in the live-action version of Do Luo? Maybe no one is as tall as Wang Zhelin. Westbrook, who has been hunting birds all day, does not want anyone to become prey himself. This time, he was destined to become the background board in Wang Zhelin's future career highlights. Boom. Our king announced his return with a dunk, and he's proving to everyone who is the king of the Rose Garden. The cheers of the fans at the scene reached a new climax with the frantic roar of the commentator, and this was just the first goal of the second half of the Trailblazers. Episode 84, Chill. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. The king of the Rose Garden? Then what am I? That's right, I don't seem to be anything in your heart. No one noticed that from the beginning to the end of this fast break, Lillard, Westbrook, and Wang Zhelin were always followed by a panting, taciturn big man. LaMarcus Aldridge. Because of his taciturn nature, he has been enduring the habitual neglect of Portland fans and even most of the media. There was Roy before, and Odin behind, especially the latter. Even if the season is reimbursed, he can get the praise and expectations of the fans and take away all the attention. On the other hand, Aldridge himself has been playing hard, but he has never been seen. Later, after Roy was injured and Odin was hopeless, he was pushed to the position of the boss, but during those 2 years, he was criticized by fans as playing softly because of his outside play style. It has only been a long time since the 2 rookies of the team have been here, and they have already been welcomed and encouraged by the Blazers fans. Did you forget that in 2010-11, it was me, LaMarcus Aldridge, who led Portland to the playoffs again without being favored by everyone? Do you like to treat people as dumb if you don't speak? Why can't you see me more? Am I really that bad? Aldridge, who was once again neglected and ignored, looked at everything around him and always felt that he was so out of place. Compared with the cheering atmosphere at the scene, a cold from the inside out made Aldridge feel an inexplicable sting in his heart. Inadvertent ignorance has become commonplace. Maybe I never belonged here. Just as Aldridge thought of leaving the team again, a familiar voice sounded again in his mind. LaMarcus, it's all up to you in Portland from now on. This voice is full of regret and unwillingness, and its owner is the previous king of the Rose Garden, Brandon Roy. In fact, after the 2009-10 rookie season ended, Aldridge had thought about staying away from Portland. Not only because of the curse of the Tear City, there have been countless talented insiders who buried their futures in this ominous place, but Aldridge has never felt here in his heart a sense of belonging. At first, he and Roy didn't deal with each other, but as the two found some like-minded things off the court, they gradually became acquainted, and later the two developed into good friends. Although Roy was also plagued by some injuries in the 09-10 season, he still performed well. He started 65 games and averaged 21.5, 4.7 assists and 4.4 rebounds per game. Aldridge averaged 17.9 points, 8 assists, 2 points and a rebound. The two of them make up the Trailblazers twin that shines in Portland, though he's the one that everyone ignores. But I have to admit that the Blazers were indeed full of hope that year, and it was precisely because of the invitation from Roy, a friend, that AL's contract would be renewed in advance immediately. The Blazers provided 65 million meters of gold for 5 years. Contracts. As a result, Roy was injured the next season, and the sentence that came to mind just now was what Roy said to him on the night when he decided to retire. At the same time, this is also a commitment. If it weren't for the commitment to Roy, Aldridge felt that he might not be able to persist for so long. What are you thinking, boss? Hurry back to defense. The many emotions that emerged in Aldridge's heart were actually only a few seconds in reality. On the way back to defense, Wang Zhelin saw that Aldridge was in a daze, so you kindly went online to remind the other party. What did you just call me? Wang Zhelin's words brought Aldridge back to reality, and he was even more surprised by the word in the former's mouth. Boss, what's the matter? You are our leader. It's up to you to win this game. Almost, Wang Zhelin was about to put his hand on Aldridge's forehead to see if the other party had a fever. After the word leader was uttered by Wang Zhelin, Aldridge once again recalled his commitment to Roy, and he had another reason to persuade himself to persevere. There are 3 more years, and then I will leave. Which is worthy of everyone. Wang Zhelin would never have imagined that in just a few seconds just now, the inner world of Aldridge in front of him was like a roller coaster with ups and downs. The game continued, and Westbrook, who was tragically reduced to a background plate, took over Perkins' baseline serve and quickly advanced to the Trailblazers' half-court. He is very angry now, and he just wants to find a chance to deduct one back, preferably on Wang Zhelin. Ibakali used more power than Aldridge to get stuck in the post ahead of schedule and beckoned for the ball. When Westbrook saw this, although he was reluctant, it was still a lob and hoisted the ball into the inside line. Fourth brother, no, it is rare for the third brother to speak, and the second brother of Zhu has to obey. However, both Brook and Ibaka underestimated Aldridge's desire to win this game. Although Aldridge hates physical confrontation, it does not mean that he is afraid of physical confrontation. Otherwise, he would not have followed Coach McMillan's arrangement and changed to number 5 at any time. Aldridge predicted the route of inheritance in advance, and aiming at the timing, he stretched out his left hand and stabbed the ball away, and the ball hit Durant's back. Fortunately, Durant quickly grabbed the ball, which avoided Westbrook's mistake. TMD, did this soft guy take his medicine today? Why did he react so quickly? Ibaka was a little surprised. It was not the first time he faced Aldridge, and the latter's previous performance was not as tough as it is today. After Durant received the ball, Wang Zhelin added, "Man, look behind you." Seeing this, Batum behind him quickly ran towards Perkins. "Come on, hit me up and let me see what you have to become a scoring champion." Durant, this guy can be described as mixed in later generations. However, as far as Wang Zhelin is concerned, his approachable temperament alone makes him full of joy for Durant. Durant had no expression on his face, and put on an action frame to single against Wang Zhelin. It seemed that he knew very well that the power disparity between the two sides was so humiliating that he couldn't be beaten. "Dude, do you think that little guy can guard this ball?" Charles Barkley glanced at Wang Zhelin, then asked Kenny Smith. "It's hard to guess Wang Zhelin's matchup, but Durant, who ranks in the top 5 in the league, is an MVP-level player. What about you? What do you think?" Kenny Smith replied solemnly. "I think so." Barkley expressed his approval and nodded again and again. "Then you still ask me?" Kenny Smith also thought how brilliant Barkley would have thought. "It's alright, I'll ask." Episode 85, Talent Showdown. Durant started to dribble the ball with low hands in a row, suddenly changed direction to the right, dribbled the ball behind his back and pulled the ball back, took a sudden step to the left, and was about to shoot. Wang Zhelin was startled by Durant's 2-meter change in direction, and tried his best to stabilize his center of gravity, barely keeping his position. Is Durant about to pull out? No, it was another fake move that successfully deceived Wang Zhelin, a sway to open the distance, followed by a pull-up jumper with a slightly independent flavor, completely avoiding the defender's block space. In 58:62. When Wang Zhelin was defending Durant, he was able to keep up with his footsteps, which was a bit surprising. I didn't expect Durant's performance behind him to make people scream. It's getting too late. Is this something that a 2.1-meter 1-center player should do? It's no wonder that Durant is known as an unsolvable singles machine, and he is dislocated in the face of everyone. What is talent? This is called talent. The current death has not evolved into a complete version. In the future, the Warriors dared to fight against LeBron James in the finals of Durant, and now he is still a schoolbag. After scoring the goal, Durant didn't do anything to celebrate, and just passed Wang Zhelin so coldly. The character and Aldridge are really similar, no wonder it is called the boss who is not like the boss. Here Lillard is dribbling the ball from the outside, leaning sideways to carefully observe the dynamics of defenders and teammates. Aldridge stepped forward to cover, and Lillard played big. Here's your chance. Lillard crossed the dribble, changed direction to the left, made a pull-up jumper, and scored. 60:62. The score is chasing. Perkins in front of him almost fell, and quickly supported the ground with his hands, barely saving his face. After Lillard scored, he glared at Durant. It was like no one had talent. The Thunder attacked, and Westbrook made an unexpected three-pointer after going around the screen. The rebound was won by Wang Zhelin and passed directly to Lillard. Lillard relied on a very confusing rhythm to pass the defender and get to the basket. It's a pity that there are too many people and there is too much interference. However, a giant rose from the ground, grabbed offensive rebounds on the heads of Perkins, Durant, and Ibaka, and quickly passed them back to Batum. Choose, there is a board. This sentence from the center can bring the greatest encouragement and confidence to his teammates on the outside. Batum did not hesitate to shoot a three-pointer. Bang. Still don't get in. What about basketball? It was Wang Zhelin again, stuck in the position like an old tree with roots, saw the opportunity, took off the board continuously, and finally grabbed the front board again and continued to pass back to his teammates on the outside. God, he can do whatever he wants in the Thunder's restricted area, no one can stop him. My God, why can he do it so easily after taking 2 front-court boards in a row? Who else can stop this giant? In the distant Goose City, the Thunder fans who were watching this game couldn't help holding their heads and sighing in the sky. This time, it was Aldridge who received the ball. After the 45-degree three-pointer on the left was completely emptied, he didn't have time to think about it. He lifted the ball, aimed and fired like muscle memory. Although Aldridge is not so fond of shooting three-pointers, his excellent touch can still ensure a certain shooting rate when he is open, and the three-point threat is enough. 45-degree angle three-pointer hit the board. 63-62. The Blazers took the lead for the first time in this game, and the cheers of the Mountain and Tsunami resounded throughout the Rose Garden. Thunder coach Scott Brooks frowned. "Mark, go and call a timeout." This round was too demoralizing, and the opposing number 36 played too hard with 2 offensive rebounds under the basket. Now, it's the other side's turn to panic. The Thunder called a timeout, and Coach Brooks rearranged his tactics and asked to strengthen the defense inside. Timeout, the game is back. Westbrook took the ball from the perimeter and actively looked for teammates, but he never had a chance. Durant stepped forward and took the ball beyond the arc. He wanted to do it himself. Time passed slowly, and in the last 7 seconds, Durant moved. A worshipper shook off Batum and went to the basket. Is he going to challenge Wang Zhelin's police district? No, when Wang Zhelin stepped forward to make up the defense, Durant threw the ball into the sky. Bang. Westbrook alley. The small forward threw an alley to the point guard, which looked fantastic, but on Westbrook, it seemed so sparse. In the next few rounds, the two sides have come and gone, the score has been in a state of anxiety, and no one can easily open the score. With 21 seconds left in the third quarter, the Thunder quickly advanced to the front court, and Westbrook successfully rushed inside again. Lillard's defense is really good. Wang Zhelin couldn't remember how many times this was the first time he wiped Lillard's butt, but he still greeted him. When he was still a few steps away from Wang Zhelin, Westbrook shook his small hand and assisted Durant, who was following up behind him. He had already lost his 3rd foul in the half of the game in the round he helped Lillard defend, and he didn't want to usher in the 4th foul so soon. When Coach Terry saw this scene, he nodded with satisfaction. It seems that Wang Zhelin really listened to what he said just now. The game is still long, and he has time to fight back. The connection from Wei Du, God, a violent one-handed dunk, scared the boy number 36 on the opposite side and ran away. Look at his back, he is in a great embarrassment. Barkley would never let go of such a great opportunity to ridicule Wang Zhelin. Excluding the second quarter, which was not played much, Wang Zhelin has scored 9 points and 11 rebounds on 4 of 5 shots in this game, not far from another double-double in his career. But it was such a performance, but Barkley deliberately didn't mention it at all, and only knew that he poured out Wang Zhelin's negative views, which made fans' perception of Wang Zhelin begin to deviate. This is the power of those uncrowned kings, but also their disgust. The score between the two sides came to 74-72, and the Blazers trailed by 2 points. King, there are 14 seconds left, you will play this ball in the front court later. Lillard, who was receiving the serve on the bottom line, heard from the radio station that Barkley had treated his brother unfairly, and his heart was full of grievances. Thank you, Damian. Wang Zhelin took a long breath, held his breath, and relaxed his nerves that had become a little highly excited. Now is the deadliest time for the score to bite. Since everyone is willing to hand over the last round to himself, he must do it well. The first thing he had to do was calm himself down. After Aldridge on the other side heard it, he didn't say much, and he was acquiescing to Lillard's approach. There are still 14 seconds left, it depends on whether the King can seize the last chance and tie the score before the end of the third quarter. The battle between the Blazers and the Thunder's strongest youth army was broadcast by the Celestial Chow throughout the entire process. At this time, the mood of all the Celestial fans was in turmoil as the game progressed. Before he knew it, when Wang Zhelin became the last Red in the NBA, his every move gradually attracted the hearts of more and more Chinese basketball fans. They hoped that after Yao Ming and Yi Jianlian, there would be a Chinese player with the same skin color. Continue to fight in the basketball hall that all basketball players in the world yearn for most. Just when everyone was looking forward to how the Blazers' final attack would be arranged, Wang Zhelin immediately gave everyone the answer. He held the ball at the waist, and the four teams quickly pulled apart. The meaning of this scene could not be more obvious. Wang Zhelin wants to one-on-one duel against Ibaka, the guardian of the Thunder's penalty area. This is one of the true meanings of Rice basketball, a time of personal heroism. This is also the reason why 062 Lunka is considered by most fans to be the peak of Kobe's career. In that season, Kobe interprets his personal heroism to the extreme, completing the transformation from Peter Pan to the Black Mamba. Why, such an important attack is actually handled by a rookie. What about Aldridge, are you a softie? As the boss, I dare not ask for the ball at this time. In the live room, Barkley was furious again, and he sprayed Aldridge for a while. Kenneth Mize on the side did not refute this time. Although he was optimistic about Wang Zhelin, he was also dissatisfied with the way the Blazers handled the ball. From the point of view of old-school players like them, the boss has to stand up at a critical moment. Since you have enjoyed the highest treatment and the loudest applause, you should bear the corresponding responsibility. Obviously, the character of the Buddhist system has made him a soft egg in the eyes of outsiders. This is something that Aldridge never expected. There are 7 seconds left, which is plenty. The waist is a favorite position for many mid-range shooters. Come on, King, let me see if you are worthy of such a big name. Knowing that Wang Zhelin has a very good mid-range shot, Ibaka decisively posted it. 91's internal defense. It looks very bluffing, but Wang Zhelin knows that Ibaka is the strongest or the help defense, and the single defense is not that good. His nickname medical insurance card is because of his excellent help defense. Then you'll be fine. Howard, I have tried, and I am afraid that you have a 28 card. Wang Zhelin chose the rarely used face frame attack method. This heavenly boy still has this hand? Ibaka has some doubts in his heart. Regardless of Ibaka's thoughts, Wang Zhelin quickly took a big step to lean on Ibaka, turned directly inward and pressed the defender and made a layup. 74:74 level. Wang Zhelin scored 6 points and 10 rebounds in a single quarter. Not only did he defend the basket well, but he also successfully scored the last key goal in front of Ibaka to equalize the score for the team. 11 points and 17 rebounds, this is the data he came down in 3 quarters. Wow, Wang showed us his beautiful face frame technique. The defender on the opposite side didn't even have the slightest chance to react. Charles, did you think Wang's face frame was very similar to the one in the league just now? One person. Kenny Smith suddenly threw a question. Little bully Stoudemire? Almost the next time, Barkley said a person's name with some seriousness. Once the league's first violent power forward, with his excellent lateral movement and no fear of confrontation with anyone, Stoudemire can be said to be the most powerful inside player in the league in his prime. Don't be misled by Bully's violent dunks. His excellent mid-range shot and superb face frame singles are also his unique skills in the league. In one year's playoff series, Stoudemire averaged 37 points per game against the peak. Duncan is the best proof. He's not just a dunker. Now in Wang Zhelin's body, many people saw the figure of the king of Stoudemire's inner face frame through that attack. The same superb technology, the same arrogant and unreasonable physical fitness. Wang Zhelin once again showed the outside world a new offensive method, which may even develop into one of his killers in the future. After the ball was played, there were only 2 seconds left for the Thunder. After Westbrook quickly brought the ball to the vicinity of the midfield, he saw that there was not much time and he shot directly. The red light was on, and the basketball was still spinning in mid-air, hitting the top edge of the backboard. The third quarter ended. It was not until this time that all the audience recalled that the third quarter can be said to be a contest between the core players of the two teams. Wang Fried combination versus Pioneer Sanshao. The former scored 17 points in a single quarter and the latter scored 22 points in a single quarter. The Thunder and the Blazers showed them a true talent showdown. Episode 86, Physical Strength, Foul Double Crisis. The core players of the Thunder are not much older than us, but they were able to enter the finals last year. They will be our goals for a long time in the future. To be honest, it's beyond my expectations to be able to hit this level, but what I want to say is that since we have reached this stage, why do we no longer fight to keep the victory in the Rose Garden? Guys, the time for real blood is coming. On the bench, all the players surrounded Coach Terry in a circle, listening to his lectures. As for the tactics, they have all been fought up to now, and the two teams are fighting against each other between the stars. Although Coach Terry also formulated corresponding tactics for the team on the training ground, he also gave the players a lot of freedom to play. Because he knows the truth, the real players are always the players on the court, and all he can do is guide. Playing against a strong team like the Thunder can make potential newcomers like Wang Zhelin and Lillard grow extremely fast, and it can also allow a young team like the Blazers to accumulate experience in dealing with strong teams. There is a lot of experience that must be accumulated quickly in the competition. Before this game started, to be honest, not many people thought that the Blazers would be the opponent of the Thunder, although the former is currently 5 wins and 5 games in the regular season, and the latter is 4 wins and 1 loss. But the Thunder lost the game against the San Antonio Spurs, the top team in the league. The Thunder were beaten by Parker in the opening game, and they lost only 2 points. The Thunder, who knew shame and courage, faced the Mosaic, the Mavericks, the Clippers and the Nets in the next 4 games and won all of them. When everyone thought that the Blazers would be the turtle in the urn, when the game really came, the Thunder realized that what they had caught was not a turtle, but a hidden dragon. The crucial fourth quarter has finally started. At this moment, the starter must be on the court, and the rotation players can only wave the towel off the court. According to Coach Terry's arrangement, the team will focus on the inside line first, because Wang Zhelin has a strong inside line advantage compared to the Blazers and the Thunder. Ibaka's athletic ability is excellent, and his blocking skills are outstanding, but compared to Wang Zhelin, who is 2.16 meters tall and weighs 130 kilograms, his deterrent effect in the low post is still not as good. Fear the Thunder inside. Therefore, the inside line is undoubtedly the most certain point for the Blazers. Wang Zhelin is also very upbeat and has lived up to the trust of the coach and teammates. In the first offensive round, he took advantage of his wingspan to double-team the two and put the ball into the basket and caused Ibaka's second foul of the game. With a little tweaking, he made a solid 2+1 with 86 free throws. Sergey, you're not very good as a cap king. It's too soft. Looking at Ibaka, who was walking with him when he was retreating, Wang Zhelin began to tease him. Trash talk is a major feature of the NBA. A good trash talker can bring a lot of pressure to opponents and even affect their performance. But obviously, Wang Zhelin's skills are still shallow. Ibaka didn't ignore him at all and ran to the front court. The Thunder's offense is much simpler than that of the Blazers, pulling it straight away, leaving the space for Durant to play singles. At times like these, it's the best tactic to give the ball to the person with the most confidence. After receiving the ball, Durant turned sideways to face Batum. After a few feints in a row, seeing that Batum was still as steady as a rock, he quickly turned around and slipped in. Batum quickly followed, but Durant made a sudden stop, jumped near the paint area, and hit the shot. Players who can combine the shot well are the hardest to guard. After seeing Durant scoring easily, Batum clapped his palm in annoyance. Okay man, you have to be thankful that Durant guy isn't that good at talking trash, or you'll be even sadder. Wang Zhelin came over and touched Batum's head, reminding him kindly. Are you so comforting? Batum glanced at Wang Zhelin and didn't answer. He was afraid that he would be off by this teammate. Relying on Durant's precise strikes, the Thunder took the lead to 1 point. After Wang Zhelin sent the baseline ball, he quickly returned to his offensive position. At the moment when he leaned against Perkins in the low position, Wang Zhelin took advantage of the situation to use his shoulders to knock him out of balance, and directly opened his hand to ask for the ball. After catching the ball, Wang Zhelin jumped to the basket, stuck his back to block Ibaka, and then jumped up and dunked the ball into the basket. What kind of look are you looking at? Are you unconvinced? It's just right. If you have the ability, stop me in the next round. Wang Zhelin saw Perkins' sharp eyes and didn't take it seriously. NBA is a battlefield, the winner is the king, the loser is the loser. As long as the referee's whistle does not sound, it is a good shot. 2 consecutive storms succeeded in the basket, so that the morale of the Pioneers began to rise. What if there is a runner-up team on the opposite side? They are also not bad. In the next offense, the Thunder continued to use their usual tactics, Dewey mixed doubles. In the 6th minute of the 4th quarter, because the two sides never called a timeout, it came directly to the official timeout. Before the timeout, the score between the Blazers and the Thunder was 87-85. Lillard made a 3-pointer at the buzzer at the last minute to help the Blazers overtake the Thunder by a 3-pointer. In the first half, the Thunder scored 11 points. The Blazers had 13 points. You have Dewey, I have San Shao. Although the personal ability of Wang Zhuang's combination overwhelmed the Blazers' 3 little ones. But basketball isn't all about singles. The Thunder's individual offense is very strong, but the Blazers' team offense is better than the other. In the past half-quarter, Wang Zhelin scored 8 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks and 1 foul. Not only did he rebound a career-high 25, but his points also rose rapidly. In addition, the hard work on the defensive end also allowed Wang Zhelin to send his 4th foul of the game. In order to win the game, Wang Zhelin not only has to play a deterrent on the offensive end, but also takes into account the attacking frames of Westbrook and Durant from time to time. Attacking and defending twice caused Wang Zhelin's physical loss to exceed his usual consumption rate. During the suspension, Wang Zhelin not only had weak legs, but also gasped for breath, and the entire jersey was wet with sweat. During a highly concentrated game on the court, Wang Zhelin did not have such a strong sense of load, but after the rest, the various negative effects of his body were reflected. Fortunately, Durant on the opposite side is in better condition than Wang Zhelin, but not much better. Insufficient physical strength is also a major problem that has always interfered with Durant. Unsurprisingly, Durant is sure to rest for a few minutes next to prepare for the final moments, and now the Blazers are looking for an emaciated guard with a big smile on his face. In the deal between the Thunder and Mosaic in October, Mosaic's biggest bargaining chip was Kevin Martin. A man who swaps Harden. A crooked machine gun that can stably contribute 20+ output per game. At this time, Kevin Martin is the 6th man of the Thunder, and he is also one of the representatives of the NBA's offensive and defensive players. In the peak season, he averaged 24.6 points per game, and he has a stable output of about 20 points per game all year round. He has a weird shot, which makes many players remember this thin shooting guard. Episode 87, if you can't make up the deduction, there is a saying called, what to worry about, what to come. The original plan of the Blazers was to let Lillard, the Iron Man, lead the team's rotation to maintain the score, and in any case, they had to hold off for 3 or 4 minutes, so that Wang Zhelin and Aldridge could get a chance to breathe. In this way, the team can let the remaining 2 players return to the field to harvest the game in the last few minutes. In contrast, the Thunder also had the same plan. However, the X factor is still present. After Kevin Martin came on the court, he launched a fierce offense with Westbrook with the rotation. Especially Kevin Martin, relying on that weird shot, caused 3 consecutive fouls by the Blazers players in just 2 minutes, got to the free throw line for 6 of 6, and helped the team lead the score. 87-91. To be honest, before Harden, the master of fouling on the shooting guard was Kevin Martin. In the season with the highest score, he averaged 9 free throws per game. This kind of player, the media are willing to call him very smart and efficient, but only when he is against him can you feel how disgusting this style of play is. Harden was once considered a low-profile version of Martin, but who knew that he was better than blue? No wonder he was disliked by so many people later. Out of desperation, Coach Terry had to put Aldridge, who had only rested for 1 minute, back on the court. The difference cannot be widened any further. Fortunately, as an old man who has been in the league for 6 seasons, Aldridge is far better than a rookie Wang Zhelin in terms of physical reserves and distribution, and it is not uncommon to play full court occasionally. Moreover, Wang Zhelin also triggered 2 gold-level dunks in this game, which played a certain role in restoring blood to his teammates, so Aldridge's physical strength pool is still sufficient. After Aldridge played, he quickly stabilized the army with his favorite left-sided low singles and mid-range shots, but then a breakthrough dunk by Westbrook succeeded 2+1, which once again opened the score. To make matters worse, Aldridge was also wearing 4 fouls. The Trailblazers are in jeopardy. There are still more than 3 minutes until the end of the game. Wang, how are you resting? Coach Terry chose to call a 60-second long timeout. After the timeout, he would bring Wang Zhelin back on the court for the final match. It's not much of a problem. Although his face was still very pale, Wang Zhelin nodded. Get ready to play, Portland is up to you for this win. After adjusting the state, Wang Zhelin followed his teammates to the final moment of the game again. It has been a night of hard work, and the last few minutes must not be discouraged. The Trailblazers took the lead. After arriving at the basket, the defender in front of Wang Zhelin was no longer Perkins, but Ibaka again. Give it up, you can't prevent me, you are as soft as a donut in front of me, and it melts when you bite. At this time, Wang Zhelin couldn't care about his shallow friendship with Ibaka, and started talking trash after receiving the ball. Don't you know if you try it? Ibaka licked his tongue, but smiled weirdly. After coming to the low post on the right side against Ibaka, Wang Zhelin leaned on the opponent to prepare for a strong play, and he was confident to score this goal. Just as Wang Zhelin turned around, Ibaka behind him suddenly fell down. Beep beep. Offensive foul. Fuck. At this critical moment, Ibaka successfully caused Wang Zhelin an offensive foul. This is the 5th foul of the game, and Wang Zhelin is in danger. Obviously, the Thunder coaching staff has seen it. The reason why the Blazers have been able to stick with them until now is largely inseparable from Wang Zhelin's performance in the interior. God, the opposite number 36 has already got 25 rebounds, he must not be allowed to break 30. So they seized on the shortcoming of Wang Zhelin's 4 fouls, and after letting the players play, they must try their best to get Wang Zhelin off the court no matter what. As long as the celestial giant is missing, the Blazers' inside advantage will no longer be available. After several hesitations, Coach Terry on the side gave up the decision to call a timeout. At this time, he is more willing to believe that his players can handle their own problems. After all, it is not him who is playing on the court. After suffering a dull loss, Wang Zhelin didn't say much, just clenched his fists and ran back to his half. The Thunder attacked, and after some moves, Durant found Wang Zhelin in a dislocation. The intention was obvious. It was to bully you for 5 offenses, and the defensive end would definitely not dare to show his strength. After Durant held the ball close, he used a routine that Wang Zhelin remembered deeply. Will arm big loop. Originally, when defending a superstar player like Durant, it was easy to be called a foul if he didn't handle it well, but this guy still used this trick. A good athlete can and should use all the tricks the rules allow to make you win. After all, the essence of basketball is a scoring game. As long as you can keep scoring and scoring, who cares about the means? Wang Zhelin agrees with this statement, but don't forget that double standards have always been one of the other great essences of human beings. As an opponent, Durant's swinging arm loop is a very uncomfortable play for defenders. Some veteran fans who are familiar with the doorway saw that Durant was going to use this trick, and the popcorn in his hand suddenly became fragrant, and the booze in his mouth soon sounded. Coach Terry, who was on the sidelines, stood up in fright, and his heart was tangled together. Be careful. Seeing this, Wang Zhelin hurriedly put his hands behind his back. You swing yours, I won't reach out anyway. In the end, although Durant made a successful layup, it did not cause Wang Zhelin's foul. However, Wang Zhelin's strange defensive action made Barkley in the live broadcast room directly happy. I really didn't expect this kind of defensive action. Kenny, have you ever seen anyone with their hands behind their backs when defending? It's so interesting. Barkley couldn't help but patted his belly until the last laugh. Cough, it's weird enough, but after all, he is for self-protection. KD's move is too insidious, and it goes against the spirit of basketball. Although Wang Zhelin's defensive moves were a bit funny, Kenny Smith held back with his professionalism. And he also knows that what fans want to see is a normal basketball game, not a trick that exploits various loopholes in the rules, and he condemned Durant's big swing. The NBA is not a pure basketball league. Barkley suddenly replied, silencing Kenny Smith. The Blazers were having trouble scoring at this point. The starting center Wang Zhelin fouled 5 times, and the team boss Aldridge fouled 4 times, which made them both very timid to play in the interior, both defensively and offensively. Lillard on the outside didn't feel very good in this game. He made 13 shots and only hit 5 times, including the good 3-pointer opportunity just now, which also ended with a strike. For a full minute, the Blazers were in a scoring drought. On the other hand, the Thunder team, although the offensive efficiency is not very high, at least they can score. In the last 51 seconds of the game, Durant made a low layup to expand the score again. 104-99. The Blazers are already 5 points behind. Without hesitation, Coach Terry called the second timeout in the last 2 minutes of the distal quarter. Look at what you guys are fighting. It's not as good as shit. Even if it's an old man like me, it's much more reliable than you to fight. During the suspension, Coach Terry did not give any tactical guidance, nor did he do any psychological counseling, but instead cursed directly. The opposite side is a team that is much stronger than us. You don't need to have any psychological burden. Just play well. If you win, it's yours, and if you lose, it's mine. If you win, it's yours, if you lose, it's mine. In one sentence, the inner struggle of Wang Zhelin and Aldridge was completely shattered. Yeah, what are we afraid of? No matter how strong the opponent is, it's just a team about the same age as us, so what should we be afraid of? Beep beep. The referee's whistle sounded, and the timeout was up. Remember, the age of the players on the opposite side is almost the same as ours. Even if you lose, there is nothing to be ashamed of. I hope you can play your true level and don't have any regrets. When the players were on the court, Terry's words never stopped. Boy, I admit that you are strong, but the victory belongs to us. Lillard controlled the ball to the audience, and Westbrook looked at the young man who broke through his defense several times with emotion and admiration in his heart. You are wearing the number 0 jersey. Lillard didn't answer, he controlled the ball meticulously and carefully, glanced at the basket, and suddenly a sharp change in direction shook Westbrook in front of him. Lillard got a mid-range shot at this point, but he didn't because he had better options. I saw Lillard shove the ball straight to the basket, but there was no one. The next moment everyone knew the answer, a yellow-skinned arm appeared there and caught the basketball. Don't think about it. Ibaka was the first to discover something was wrong. When he saw Wang Zhelin appearing under the basket, he flew over from the other side and took off quickly. Wang Zhelin had already risen from the ground at this time, and only the basket above was in his eyes. Do you think you can stop me? Dream. Wang Zhelin had already discovered Ibaka, who took off almost at the same time as himself, but his eyes were full of madness, and he threw the ball into the basket without fear. At that moment, it was as if there was no one beside him. You are the league's new block king. Ibaka's block awareness and ability to block are very good, and he has a good grasp of the timing of blocking shots. His prediction of this ball is very accurate, whether it is the height of the bounce or the accuracy of the palms, they are not bad at all. Seeing that the basketball was getting closer and closer, the Thunder fans couldn't help but rejoice. The medical insurance card is indeed a medical insurance card, this ball seems to be covered. Will it really be so? No, they also overlooked one thing. Strength. Blazers number 36's body contains an earth-shattering force. The basketball clenched in both hands seems to have turned into a bomb at this moment, with a power that Ibaka can't imagine. Gold-level dunk Tinzuin has been triggered. At this moment, Wang Zhelin's dunk strength and smashing speed suddenly changed slightly. A small difference, 1,000 miles lost. Although Ibaka's hand has touched the basketball, it cannot affect its trajectory in the slightest. An orange-red basketball found its home with a loud bang. The duel between Wang Zhelin and Ibaka, the spear and shield, also came to an end. The orange-red basketball was forcibly pressed into the basket by Wang Zhelin, and Ibaka's hand patted the back of the basketball and Wang Zhelin's hand at the same time. If it can be covered, it is undoubtedly a good cap. Unfortunately not. Beep beep. The referee blew the whistle, indicating that the Trailblazers' number 36 offense was effective, and the Thunder's number 9 thug fouled, and the former added a penalty. And one. Who? I said, you can't stop me. With a heavy gasp, Wang Zhelin turned around, his eyes were like electricity, and he looked down at Ibaka. Damn. Although he was furious in his heart, Ibaka held back on the surface. Losers have no say. Incompetent fury only highlights his cowardice. Shoo. Add a penalty hit, 2 + 1 succeeded. 104:102. The Trailblazers were just 2 points away with 31 seconds left, and in any case, the Trailblazers still had a chance to make a final attack. Westbrook found someone with the ball and directed his teammates to move. But the dunk just now by Sihu was too shocking, causing the Blazers players to entangle their opponents like a chicken blood, and his teammates did not run out of the space. Then I'll do it myself. Westbrook stared at the basket not far away, his mood was surging, and his eyes instantly turned red. What he didn't notice was that Durant had circled around 45 degrees to the right from a low angle, beckoning him for the ball. After calling Ibaka to step forward and do a screen, Westbrook began to accelerate when he reached the top of the arc and sprinted towards the left side of the triangle area. What is he going to do? The Pioneers have some doubts in their hearts. After Westbrook slipped a step to the left of the penalty area, Wang Zhelin became apprehensive. Shouldn't it be deducted again? Wait, he's just getting ready to shoot. An astonishing scene happened. Westbrook, who obviously has a strong ability to rush to the basket, chose to use a stiff jumper as a finishing method at such a critical juncture. It's clear that attacking the rim is what Westbrook is best at, but he actually chooses a mid-range shot that he is not sure about. What are you doing? All eyes were attracted by this basketball. Bang, bang, bang. Basketball. Wang Zhelin took the first jump and caught it with one hand. The basketball just turned around the basket and fell off. The timing was just right. Beep beep. To be on the safe side, the Blazers called the last timeout of the game, and they had 15 seconds to deal with the last possession. King, you did a great job. This is your first offensive rebound? At least there are more than 10. Cool. Back on the bench, all the players gave Wang Zhelin some love. Papa, okay, the game is not over yet, now let me talk about the arrangement of the final attack. Coach Terry patted the tactical version and attracted everyone's attention. The tactics are also very simple, keep 2 and chase 3. The first person to handle the ball right is, of course, Aldridge, the team leader. Next is Lillard and Wang Zhelin. Don't be too rigid at this time. If LaMarcus and the 3 of them are locked up, whoever has the opportunity will vote decisively. Don't hesitate. Understood. Learn. Pause back, the Trailblazers serve the front court ball. The Thunder have a 2-point lead and there is no need to take the initiative to foul. Their task is to put down the ball as hard as they can to win. Lillard had the ball and Aldridge stepped up to pick and roll, but Westbrook squeezed in and didn't leave. With 11 seconds left, Lillard stabilized his rhythm and waited for his teammates to move. At the same time, Lillard also secretly decided in his heart that if his teammates can't get a chance in the last 5 seconds, then he will end the game with his own hands. Regardless of whether he can enter or not, he must never leave the opportunity to the other side, and must use up his time. Finally, in the last 8 seconds, Aldridge ran out of opportunities under repeated pick-and-rolls by Matthews and Batum, and received a pass from Lillard at the left waist position. It's his surest shot hot spot, but... Oops, basketball. As soon as he made the shot, Aldridge knew that the ball was likely to be gone. Just now, Durant, who was the closest, rushed over and interfered with the shot by relying on his super long wingspan. The basketball smashed into the neck of the basket, causing the fans present to wailing. But they suddenly found that a figure still lingered, rushing towards the basket. Wang Zhelin. At this moment, Wang Zhelin was like a hero stepping on colorful clouds. Once again, 3 Thunder players took off offensive rebounds, and looking at his trend, he wanted to make up for it. Caught you. The moment Wang Zhelin caught the rebound and pressed the ball down, a huge force came from behind him, and the basketball in his hand was shot off without hesitation. It turned out to be Ibaka, who made one last defense near the end of the game. It's over. There is no chance. It's all the fault of Aldridge's jerk, he didn't seize such an important opportunity. Soft egg. Soft egg. The audience next to him began to boo, and Aldridge looked miserable, and his heart was full of desolation. Oh, it's like this again. Boss, Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. Catch the ball. A voice came from the front, and Aldridge looked at it. An orange-red basketball was hitting him. This is basketball. It turned out that Ibaka's block was on the edge of the basket. Seeing that Wang Zhelin, who landed first, had a chance, he jumped a second time and covered the priceless rebound in his hand. At this crucial moment, the corner of his eye inadvertently swept to Aldridge, who was emptied from the low corner three-pointer. At this moment, he made a crazy decision in his heart. Why does it have to be stable? Why does it have to be 2 points? He wants to give it a go, lore. In the last 3 seconds, Wang Zhelin got the basketball and quickly passed to Aldridge. In the last 2 seconds, Aldridge received the ball. At the last second, raise the ball, shake your wrist, and shoot. When the ball flew into the air, the edge of the backboard was already lit up with red circles. But the orange basketball didn't seem to give up, it was still soaring desperately, waiting for its final fate. Some people have fear all over their faces. Some people's faces are full of anticipation. And some people's hearts are waiting for redemption. Shoo. The crisp sound of basketball passing through the net is so wonderful and pleasant at this moment. Aldridge made a successful shot before the red circle lights up, and successfully hit a buzzer lore. It was the first buzzer beater in his career. At this time, Aldridge raised his hands and looked carefully, his eyes were full of incredible. I put in. Did I actually pitch in? But the sound of cheers resounding through the sky in his ears will never lie. Aldridge knew that he really scored the buzzer beater. Episode 88, he is the king of the Rose Garden. On the court, all the players of the Blazers surrounded Aldridge, and Lillard jumped directly to the former. His face was no longer the grimness of the past, but joy and revelry. When the various cheers from the audience dissipated, there was only one voice left. LaMarcus. MVP. LaMarcus. MVP. This was the first time Aldridge heard everyone at the Rose Garden chanting his name and calling him MVP. The last time a player got this kind of treatment, his name was Brandon Roy. In his expectation, the next player to receive this kind of treatment would be either Lillard or Wang Zhelin. Unexpectedly, he actually had such a day to come, and he finally ushered in the treatment like a hero. Possibly, probably, maybe. This city also has something worth lingering about. Aldridge looked at the lore ball handed over by Wang Zhelin, and his eyes were instantly wet. Years of grievances and unwillingness suddenly erupted at this moment. Aldridge couldn't control his emotions any longer. Holding the basketball in his hand, he buried his head and cried. The boy doesn't shed tears easily, but he hasn't reached the sad part yet. Crying is not shameful. Sometimes men really need a pain to excrete their inner pressure. After suffering, fatigue, and crying, these things will turn into hard armor, making them stronger. Just like Aldridge at the moment, this cry seems to have taken away the knot of depression for many years, and also brought him a new life. 105:104 The Trailblazers of the Dark Horse team, relying on the buzzer-beating lore of the star Soft Egg Aldridge, narrowly defeated the runner-up Thunder team by 1 point. 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks. This is the data that Aldridge handed over in this game. When the reporters broke through the siege and came to Aldridge, before they could start asking questions, Wang Zhelin brought a large bottle of champagne from nowhere and sprayed at Aldridge. See? Our great leader took the team to beat the mighty Thunder. We won. LaMarcus is a well-deserved superstar. He is far underestimated. At this time, Wang Zhelin was still out of excitement. He roared excitedly and grabbed an ice bucket from the staff next to him and poured it on Aldridge's head. Ah. Looking at Wang Zhelin, who looked like a happy child, Aldridge took the reporter's microphone and replied. The biggest contributor to this victory is not me, but King. He grabbed 33 rebounds tonight, including the last 2 crucial offensive rebounds. He is the king of the Rose Garden tonight. Aldridge, who has always been accustomed to being neglected, was a little unaccustomed to the sprints of the reporters. At this time, he suddenly remembered Wang Zhelin's appearance when he was frantically fighting for offensive rebounds at the last moment, and finally called Wang Zhelin's nickname King, for the first time from his heart. When the decisive shot was made, Aldridge, who greeted the audience cheering like a tsunami, seemed to understand something. Aldridge finally understood. It turns out that deep down in his heart, he wanted to get a seat that was never the leader of the team. What he wanted more was just a sense of recognition and a sense of belonging. Between himself and Roy, Aldridge couldn't figure out at first that the team chose the latter. But at the last moment of today's game, when he had already chosen to give up in his heart, Wang Zhelin's spirit of never giving up until the last second completely shocked him. It turns out that someone is really born to be a leader. Compared with the little guy in front of him, his character is destined to never be a true leader. Tightening the orange-red basketball that killed the game in his hand, Aldridge couldn't help but smile. Perhaps the charge is his home, and the commander-in-chief should be left to someone else. When Aldridge's voice rang through the entire Rose Garden arena through the microphone, everyone remembered what the young number 36 had done in this game, and his highlight shots began to emerge in everyone's mind. Basketball or basketball? Dunk or dunk? The words rebounding and dunking flashed through everyone's mind in an instant. 20 points and 33 rebounds. Wang Zhelin's performance in this game was finally played on the public screen. Sizzle, 18 offensive rebounds, 15 offensive rebounds. Alternative 30 plus 20. 30 plus rebounds in a single game shocked everyone. The Thunder players who had not left the field, looking at the 33 rebounds in Wang Zhelin's data column, suddenly felt that they did not complain about the loss of this game. Since the 21st century, only 2 people in the NBA have achieved the feat of 30 plus rebounds in a single game, and they both eventually defeated their opponents. In the regular season of the 10-11 season, the Timberwolves played the Knicks at home, and the new Wolf King Kevin Love brushed with a single game high of 31 rebounds and a game high 31 points since the new century. Relying on the data of double 31, Love led the team to successfully defend the home court and defeated the Knicks 112-103. In the next 11-12 seasons, the host of the nunnery showed great power when he played against the Spurs, scoring 16 points and 30 rebounds in the audience, becoming the second player since the new century. No wonder he dared to shout out the slogan, "The Mamba is old, the nunnery master should stand." And now, the third player with 30-plus rebounds in a single game has appeared. Wang Zhelin, who got the most 33 rebounds in a single game since the new century, wrote his glory in the history of basketball. Kevin, I always think that Guy and his Blazers will be our great enemies in the future. Westbrook stands next to Durant with his hips on his shoulders. His eyes are a bit complicated, there is a trace of fear, but more excitement. After this battle, Westbrook knew that the Blazers had finally ushered in its new king. A wolf pack has a wolf king and no wolf king, which are 2 concepts. Don't worry, no one can stop you and me from joining forces. No one can stop our belief in bringing a championship trophy to Oklahoma City fans. Durant looked up at the championship banner in the dome of the Rose Garden, full of desire. That's right, Kevin, you and I join forces, the future of this league is ours. As the eldest brother looked at him, a fire on Westbrook's chest was completely ignited. Next time we come again, victory must be ours. The Thunder team thought so. At this time, in a certain live broadcast room, someone's face was completely blackened into carbon, and the 4 words "I'm careless" have been repeated in his mouth. The first person in the new century. Yahoo Sports, the best rookie who competes. Washington Post, King is the future league's #1 center. Sports Illustrated, the status of AIDS boss is not guaranteed, and he calls him the new king with tears. ESPN, Wang Zhelin's 20 plus 33 and Aldridge's superb whistleblowing lore became front-page headlines on major websites overnight. Hey, it seems that since Wang Zhelin came to Portland, the Trailblazers where he belongs has always been in the headlines. According to big data, in the past 2 months, the Portland Trailblazers online search index has made several mistakes compared with the previous year, and the number of outsiders traveling to Portland has also greatly increased. Episode 89, Best of the Week. On the morning of the 12th, Wang Zhelin got up and had breakfast while browsing various websites on his mobile phone. Although it had been 2 days since the game on the 10th, he still appeared on the headlines without any accident. Even the headlines on the NBA's official website these days are Wang Zhelin's news. With 33 rebounds in a single game, the rookie of the Celestial Dynasty is on par with countless legendary superstars. As expected of me. Still so handsome. He continued to scroll down, focusing on the comments of sand sculpture netizens. Sometimes the comment area is much more interesting than the content. After all, everyone in it is talented. Wang Zhelin, who won the game and got a supersized double-double of 23 plus 30, broke many records in the team and in the NBA. On the second day, I slept until noon and woke up at noon. I didn't even do the usual morning exercises. The cat stayed at home for a day, which was considered a vacation for myself. Sometimes Wang Zhelin thinks it would be great if he could recover as soon as he wakes up, just like training after every game. One more hostess by the way if you can. After breakfast, he returned to his room to pack his things. Wang Zhelin was not satisfied because he had just broken all kinds of records. After he recovered almost, he went to the Rose Garden Arena to practice. Morning, King. What else are you looking for? It's all in the sun on your butt. Facing the greeting from Uncle Johnny, Wang Zhelin waved his hand. Uncle Johnny, who was leaning on the chair and playing with his mobile phone, suddenly raised his head and looked at Wang Zhelin's eyes full of surprise. Wang, I seem to have seen some great news. What good news? Is it about me again? It shouldn't be. I was reading the news at home just now. Wang Zhelin was a little puzzled. Could it be that his mobile phone is fake? What's the good news? Let's hear it. It is already 10 in the morning, and many teammates have come to the Rose Garden Arena to prepare for daily training and rest. The two looked back. Lillard and others just came out of the parking lot. Cough cough. Uncle Johnny saw more and more people. He stood up solemnly to moisten his throat, looked at Wang Zhelin. His eyes were full of excitement. Guys, Wang was elected the Western Conference Player of the Week last week. When it comes to the end, there is also a slight tremolo, which may also be practiced. What? Best of the week? Is this real? Lillard, Batum and others were very shocked when they heard the news, and some even couldn't believe their ears. Player of the Week. As the name suggests, it is the best player among the 30 teams in the league during a week of games, with one place in each of the East and West. Today is the 12th, which happens to be Monday, and the NBA's official website just announced the latest issue of the East and West Players of the Week at 10 o'clock today. To know the current Trailblazers, only Aldridge has ever won the Player of the Week award, and it took him 6 years to win the game twice. Now, Wang Zhelin has won the Best of the Week in less than a month after playing with the Blazers. No wonder Lillard and others are so surprised. While it's incredible, I'm going to tell you that it's true. Uncle Johnny nodded heavily. Looking through the phone records, he continued, last week, there were 3 players nominated for the Western Conference Week's Best Player of the Week, namely Kenya Fadry and Kevin Durant. Fadry averaged 16.8 points, 12.8 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks per game, and led his team to 4 wins and 4 wins. Durant averaged 30.8 points, 7.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1.8 steals and 1.5 blocks per game. The team has a record of 3 wins and 1 loss. And they both lost to the King. Uncle Johnny's words attracted everyone's attention to Wang Zhelin, including the belated Aldridge. On the East side, from November 4th to October 10th last week, James played 3 games to help the Heat win 3 straight. His personal data came to an extremely luxurious average of 21.3 points, 11.3 rebounds and 6 assists per game. He averaged 15.3 shots and 9 shots per game, and the shooting rate was as high as 58.7%. Among them, he made 2.7 three-pointers and 1.3 three-pointers, which was close to 50%, and the shooting rate at the basket was an extremely abnormal 77.6%. Fizz. After Aldridge and others heard James' data report analysis, they couldn't help but gasped. For James in the 12 to 13 season, Wang Zhelin knows best, because this season James represents the ultimate comprehensiveness in history, and is the ultimate model of science, balance, and efficiency. Later, the Celestial Sports Channel even made a famous playoff propaganda film Earthman, Who Can Stop James? As for Wang Zhelin and his Blazers team, they also won 3 games. Wang Zhelin scored 22 points and 13 rebounds, 25 points and 8 rebounds, and 20 points and 33 rebounds respectively against the Suns, Timberwolves and Thunder, averaging 22.3 points and 18 rebounds per game. Compared with James' data, Wang Zhelin's 22 plus 18 data is undoubtedly more terrifying, not to mention that the latter is only a first-year freshman. At the same time, with such data, Wang Zhelin continues to occupy the top spot on the rookie list. 22 plus 18? Lillard opened his mouth and sighed sincerely, and felt even more helpless in his heart. With you, it looks like the Rookie of the Year is out of my league. Wang is really amazing. But I think he deserves it. He led us to the Blazers' 3-game winning streak. Batum drummer clapped and praised, but Basius suddenly stabbed him with an elbow. What? Batum suddenly remembered that Aldridge was also here. Shit. Batum, who has played in Portland since 2009, couldn't be more clear about Aldridge's character. Batum knew that what he said just now must have offended this sensitive and introverted big boy. Just as he was about to say something, there was a hearty laughter from behind. Ha ha ha, Nicholas is right. It was Wang who led us to win 3 consecutive victories. No, it should be said that it was 6 consecutive victories. He deserves this honor. Aldridge smiled lightly and walked to Wang Zhelin's side. Congratulations. LaMarcus, Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. In fact, you are the boss of this team. Today's Aldridge is a bit abnormal, and Wang Zhelin's heart sank slightly. No, you're wrong, this is our team. It doesn't matter who the so-called boss is, the important thing is that he must have the ability to bring the team to the better. In my opinion, you do have this ability, that's enough. Aldridge interrupted Wang Zhelin's unfinished words, patted the latter's shoulder, and walked straight into the arena. LaMarcus he. Everyone was silent for a while, and Aldridge's back disappeared behind the gate. Matthews and others were a little dumbfounded. He's right, no matter who is the boss, as long as the ability is strong enough, Hickson will serve him. Hickson patted his chest and made his stand. Okay, Coach Terry is probably in a hurry, let's go first. Wang Zhelin, who was in the center of the whirlpool, smiled and followed Aldridge's footsteps toward the interior of the arena. The intention of giving way that Aldridge showed just now is very obvious, and everyone can see that the former is ready to give up the position of the team leader to himself. Wang Zhelin didn't know what made Aldridge make such a change, but now he only knows that he is not strong enough, and Aldridge has become stronger. Yes, the battle with the Thunder seems to have made Aldridge complete a certain transformation. His overall strength has skyrocketed by 2 points, and he has broken through to the superstar level of 90 ratings. In this life, Wang Zhelin may be able to meet a stronger Aldridge. The most important thing is that Wang Zhelin wants to let everyone justifiably recognize his status as the team's leader, rather than a gift from others. This is the inviolable pride of a man. Episode 90, Barkley panicked. In fact, in addition to Wang Zhelin being selected as the Western Conference Player of the Week, there has been a lot of exciting news in the league recently. For example, the update of the latest regular season MVP list. The top 3 are Little Emperor James of the Heat, CP3 Duncan of the Spurs, and Melon Carmelo Anthony of the Knicks. The 4th-placed player is LaMarcus Aldridge of the Blazers. Yes, Aldridge appeared on the front row of the MVP list for the first time, and in front of him were all the current NBA superstars. With the team results of the Blazers' 6 games and 6 wins in the regular season, and the personal data of 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks per game, Aldridge successfully left Duncan, Kobe, Wade, and other fierce players behind. If it weren't for Aldridge's low-key personality, the current results would be enough for him to be in the top 3. At least the 3rd-ranked Guagua can top it. On the internet, there are endless reports about the Blazers and their members, but Wang Zhelin and others have no time to take care of so much, because tomorrow they will go to Texas to challenge the Dallas Mavericks, one of the league's tycoons. At this time, it has only been 2 years since the Mavericks won the championship, and the remnants of the German chariot are still there. Although the Mavericks were swept 4-0 in the first round by the Young Thunder last season, no team dared to underestimate them. The Mavericks have also played 6 games so far, with a record of 3 wins and 3 losses, ranking 9th in the Western Conference. The reason for this record is mainly because the core of the team, Dirk Nowitzki, missed several games due to injury. The same is true for the next game with the Blazers, so Wang Zhelin and others will only face a Mavericks team without horns tomorrow night, which is undoubtedly a great opportunity. Without Nowitzki's calf, it can be said to be instant noodles without seasoning packets. The same wooden sole. A new 7-game winning streak is beckoning the Blazers. Playing the Mavericks away on the night of the 13th, the Blazers played a full quarter with a full starting lineup. The purpose was obvious, to take advantage of their illness and kill them. It is very tiring to play away games. Since there is a chance to end the game early, Wang Zhelin and others can't wait to put in more effort. In the first quarter, the Blazers had a 14-point lead at 33:19. The Blazers' starting lineup is Mayo, Chris Sun, Sean Marion, and Brandon White. Elton Brand and Brandon White are a pair of insiders, one with a height of 2.05 meters and the other with a height of 2.08 meters, which is a typical short and stocky combination. Facing the Blazers' Aldridge and Wang Zhelin, the whole process was at a disadvantage. The Mavericks' inside line was just like a decoration. Sometimes even Lillard and Batum were bullied at every turn. In the first quarter, Wang Zhelin scored 6 points, 2 rebounds and 2 assists. It was rare for his teammates to play high, and Wang Zhelin also showed off his organizational skills. Although he accidentally made 2 mistakes, one pass too high and one of his teammates flew out of bounds without reacting, he still played happily. This is the true meaning of happy basketball. At the end of the third quarter, Wang Zhelin had already scored 16 points, 8 rebounds and 6 assists, the data of a swingman. Aldridge's 22 points and 7 rebounds, Lillard's 13 points and 9 assists, Batum's 12 plus 4, Matthews' 10 points and 2 assists, all the Blazers' starting 5 scored in double figures in just 3 quarters. And everything tells how easy it is to win this game. The garbage time in the fourth quarter was reduced to Coach Terry's troop battle. Wang Zhelin's 5 people sat on the super VIP seat with Erlang's legs crossed to watch the battle, which was also quite unique. The significance of the Trailblazers' invincibility, 114-91 against the Mavericks, won a 7-game winning streak. The 7-game winning streak at the beginning continued to refresh their previous record of 6-game winning streak, and it was only 1 game away from the team's 8-game winning streak in the second game. With the winning streak getting longer and longer, the Blazers and Spurs are tied for the first place in the league with a 7-game winning streak, and there are already too many people who can't wait to see them fight sooner rather than later. Like, for example, a big fat man shivering in the live studio at Staples Arena. There's a big battle going on tonight at the same time, in a different place. At Staples Arena, the Lakers host the Spurs, the Western Conference leaders. The Lakers at home have played 6 games with a record of 3 wins and 4 losses, ranking 10th in the Western Conference. For the team boss Kobe Bryant, now the Lakers have reached the point where every game must be fought, even if the opponent is a powerful Spurs. TNT sent a pair of friends, Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, who had just joined the commentary industry. Although the Spurs are very strong, but Lakers fans still feel that they have a chance to win. Kobe, the most famous Spurs killer in the new century, is not one of them. This is where their confidence lies. The game was full of iron and blood from the very beginning. The literal meaning of iron means that the players on both sides are like iron gods. The Spurs made 16 of 43 shots, and the shooting percentage was only 37.2. The Lakers performed slightly better here. In the first half, all shots were made, 18 of 41 shots were made, and the shooting percentage was 43.9. Blood means that the defense of both sides is quite strong, and those who don't know think that the Lakers and Spurs are playing in the playoffs. However, under the trend of everyone turning into iron gods, only Kobe seems to have forgotten his old job and scored 15 points on 7 of 11 shots. Among them, 1 of 2 3-pointers helped the Lakers temporarily lead 43-38 in the first half. The name of the Spurs' bitter master is not for nothing. Kobe Bryant is excited when he meets the Spurs, and his outstanding performance allows the team to see the possibility of winning. However, in the second half, the Spurs players gradually recovered their touch, and the Lakers seemed to have successfully lost their shooting bag, and by the way, Kobe was also infected. After the third quarter, the Spurs overtook the Lakers 60-59, and O'Neal in the live room suddenly saw a message. Dear viewers and friends, here is a piece of news. Just now, the Portland Trail Blazers defeated the Mavericks 114-91 and won the longest 7-game winning streak in the new century. Wow, 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 what a group of young people with unlimited potential. The future direction of the league will be controlled by them. Ha 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 ha. O'Neal's strange screams spread throughout the live broadcast room, but everyone knew that this guy was purely drunken. Yes, it's pretty good, great. Barkley on the side faltered. The more he talked, the more guilty he felt. Could it be that the great Sir Charles will face the scene of social death once again? I'm Barkley, and I'm panicking now.